There we go. Welcome, people. Here we go again.
What's up?
Shit.
Can
Not,
okay.
I'm not going to say anything because you can't hear me anyway.
No, you have to say something so we can tell if we can hear you or not. Oh, hold on.
Oh, fuck it. I'm not even going to see if I hit the button and we are actually live. Are we live again? We might be.
How would I check that? Like how would I know? I don't know. It says there's this little red button up here.
There's so many buttons. This is the show with the total absolute noob who just muted his brand new microphone, but in the software, not anywhere else. I've got another button here, so
How appropriate. If we only knew how appropriate
that's what
that
I'm
noise.
going to eat all day.
Wait, where are the crickets?
Yeah. I'm so
So
glad you are doing this with me. Who are you anyway? You want to introduce yourself, maybe?
Okay, Allison Clare, amateur extraordinaire, artiste, Jill of all trades, mistress to none. And you?
I'm just hitting the buttons. I'm just the
I'm
button
just
pusher here.
corn.
This isn't happening. This is not a thing. We didn't just go live and record and no. What are we even talking about? I totally forgot.
we're gonna take two conversation about cults
Nice.
and
I'm laughing
cults
myself.
cults and occultism and what isn't, classical definitions, modern definitions,
No, let's
how
skip
people
that
think
part.
about it. What,
No.
skip it. I thought we were going to talk about it for a whole another hour. What are you talking? That we're going to have the whole conversation.
Was a nice show. Thanks all. Just hit like and subscribe. See you next week.
Thanks. Shout out Jason. Wait, is it Jason?
Jason Miles. This is Revolution Podcast. Yeah, that's the guy with the smorgasbord. He likes to do that as well. And totally overdoing the soundboard shit. Definitely.
You got the cans. You got to use them.
Yeah, man.
What's the point of even having cans if you're not going to open them up? You're not going to open up a can of corn.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
It's not a cult.
Again.
Where is it?
Now this time you also had no reason to be nervous for the show.
I didn't have a reason the first time, but that didn't stop me that time. It's not gonna stop me this time either. I'll be nervous every time.
Damn.
But okay, we're gonna talk about cults.
You're going to give us the intro, please. With the cat. Oh no.
Yeah, he's coming back. He's the real star of the show. He is.
That's what they be doing.
You know, earlier when I was asking my friends if they wanted to be in my cult, one of Shay, was it Shay? No, it was Hope that asked if there were going to be cats, or if our cult was going to be about petting cats. And I said yes, of course there will be cats.
How could it not be?
It's predominantly about petting cats. It's like 98% of everything that we do.
Which kind of pussy cats are we talking about? Define petting. So that's where we start. We gotta define the cults. Right?
Oh, cults, yeah. They comes from the Latin word colere. I did study some Latin a million years ago at Truman State University, but I have forgotten since that time, but it basically means to till the ground or promote growth. So a cult or a cultus is is the worship itself, not like the act of worship, but like the worship that you produce or the growth that you produce is considered a cult or a cultus, and has this very direct tie to what grounding would be considered. Obviously, it has the same etymology as words like culture or a cultivar is any particular plant that humans have augmented through selective breeding practices to um, for instance, corn is probably the most globally recognized and historically cultivated, like cultivar, um, that got turned from a basic grass into what it is now, which has been this sustaining force for plenty of communities over a long period of time. So like that culture is just like what insulates in a larger group of people, like it allows a community to be built, um and kind of safeguards it because it has something augmented from wild growth or augmented from what nature has presented us. We took it and we used our tools and we used the resources that we had to shape it into something that is more usable for us. So that's what cultivate means: horticulture, agriculture, all wrapped up in that same concept. So the benefit of starting to create a cultus and a culture are making it through the winter or the like times of hardship, like you may not have the greatest yield one season, but you've saved it up from a different time. Oh, kitty. He's ripping on my tights.
Cultivating you.
He's cultivating. Yeah, I see. He's cultivating my legs. That's great. Thank you. Thanks, JT. Somebody's got to do it. It's a rough job, but
someone has to do it.
I guess a key element that I found for developing a cultus is the idea of leisure. You have to have leisure to develop a cultus because it is the time and space that you use to develop that culture. So this odium is necessary. It's self-care and relaxation time, which is thought to propel culture. And it kind of stands oppositional from negodium, which is work, it's jobs, it's capitalism. Holding office, being a landlord, politics, all of these kind of capitalist managerial positions fall under the concept of negodium, which is oppositional to odium. So So yeah, that work is sort of anti-culture. It's sort of the opposite of what the classical meaning of culture would be, which is having time, having leisure time, having time to develop yourself and self-actuate.
Mm. Yeah, I could just keep on listening for hours. I like to hear what I generally think about stuff from others. So
Well,
no
if
problem,
you're
but
not gonna talk, then why are we're re-recording it so we can have your inclusions, Corn?
so this might be a good moment to ask for your money. Someone has to pay her for all this work she's doing, which isn't even technically, as we just found out, work. It's something else.
No,
It's
again, I'm
activity.
doing this right now on an amateur
So
basis, and I
let me
between.
finish that thought, please. Master Eckhart came to mind. He, with his weird definition, which isn't even weird, goes fully along with yours. Just makes up this room with activity. That's how he calls it. That's how he pre-proposes that the opposition you have to work activity. That's what we're doing. Weird activity, kinda still. Yeah, we amateurs, but we pretty good. We hidden pro. We are occulted professionals still dealing with this layer of amateurish bullshit where you just hit mute buttons and then don't realize that there's no sound. People wanna watch, you know. That's no. Yes.
For one, I think where's my raising my hand button? I can press the button to raise my hand so you know I have a question. Um,
I need a
I
sound
don't know.
button.
I think so far, insofar what we're doing, I was trying to say between take one and take two that like I would consider what we're doing here helping, at least from my perspective. I'm trying to develop. I'm purposefully trying to develop my own personal skills and maybe it'll help me be more enlightened because I'm just like so naturally nervous and camera shy and have so much stage fright and anxiety about being perceived. It just I don't know if I've always had that fear, but this is like immersion therapy for me where I'm just like facing this thing that I am more or less deadly afraid of because I'm like, well, that maybe that's the way that I get over it. Maybe instead of continuing to run from it, if I run directly at it, um, then I have a better chance of breaking it up and somehow working through it. Um, which insofar, you know, the limited testing that we've done has been beneficial.
Mm.
So I would say, and I don't think we're occultists. I think we might be a cult. I think we're developing a cultist, but I don't think we're a cultist.
This is
Um,
actually something that's supposed to make the weird appearance that we might be hidden in anonymity go
but we're not
away
trying to
because
hide
we're
anything.
doing
Like,
a podcast. We're essentially unhiding stuff, you know? We're not occulting things. We're doing the opposite with just, you can even watch us just
right.
stomping around, doing amateurish bullshit, not hitting the buttons with the humans. I don't know, catch me on a bad foot. I might actually tell you the truth because that's what I'm doing. It's also fun,
Yeah,
There you go.
There's like a common misconception of like there's this conflation between a cult and occultism, and they're opposites. They're not from the same word. Cultus comes from the word colere, meaning to grow, and occult comes from the word solere, meaning to hide or conceal. So, although in conjugation they end up sounding very similar, sort of like how a possum and opossum are not the same animal. It's exactly like that. A cult and occult, a a cultus, and maybe the problem is that people started shortening it to cult instead of cultus. Uh, I don't know. People like just think of cult is has a very negative connotation when really traditionally it's meant as a um, celebration, um, in like you have to come towards it with a festive attitude, and it's for self betterment and enlightenment, and not that shadowy, nefarious sort of secrets and hiding, which is occult, occultism.
Hmm.
But this is a different word. And it means something different. And I guess it's just because
Different kind of pointing.
they're homonyms. They are homonyms, but they are not synonyms. Um, yeah, but the people who are occultist are interested in hiding, and make the people who are make hiding ideas or making them secret or concealing them is truly what occultism is. Um, and so I don't know that everybody needs to hear my rant about how much I love Castlevania again. Uh, I use the example of Castlevania because I think, especially if you just watch the first episode of season one, um, it's you know oftentimes the church, the one is actually the entity practicing an occultist practice when they um, conceal, you know, like the Catholic Church concealing their propensity for abusing altar boys. Or when the church would label women who or people in general as being witches or warlocks because they were practicing some variety of science, which was where Castlevania came in because Vlad Dracula's wife Lisa Tepesh was a scientist and a healer. She was a doctor, and they end up burning her at the stake. Um, and so I think it sort of flips that whole idea on the head of what traditionally people think of as the occult is not necessarily true. I mean, they were practicing science, then they're talking about they're actively studying something. They are not hiding what they're doing. They are doing the opposite of that. They're bringing it to the light. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The church kind of flipped the definition of what occultism is.
Propaganda. Yeah, you gotta get all those different sects in order, which were also from a different kind of cult. The church had its enemies, and then we had the religious wars, and the former enemies of the Catholic Church kind of also came out as the winners, the more Calvinist outlook on life, and that's also about wealth and about being someone in this world. So to show people that God has granted you his gifts, and that you led a God-fearing, honorable, decent life, and well, there you go. This is where it all probably also, I mean, the Catholic Church legalized slavery before we had religious wars. That was a Catholic bull that essentially decided that the unbelievers are okay to be slaves and sold and treated as objects. And what they then did with the transatlantic slave trade was way worse than what was actually understood as slavery before. The way they put them on the boats. I mean, have you seen the drawings from the Dutch? They were usually the transporters. So that is just a whole different ball game, and that's where you already see the concepts of unlimited growth, the cultivation of certain traits, and turning into a death cult that later became capitalism.
Yeah, I think you're bringing up the West Indies slave trade of Africans in Haiti. Um, and I wish that, I mean, I think it's clearly an example of the Catholic Church practicing occultism because they're not being real forthcoming with how involved with all of it. How the first, oh my gosh, someone recently wrote an editorial to my community and they were referencing this Bartholomew de la Casas guy who I personally don't have a lot of respect for, but who in the Catholic Church is sort of revered as, he went down in history as a champion of the people. He was such a humanitarian. Um, and maybe by the end of his life, he was he was saying, "Oh, hey, let's stop all of this, stop using slaves." But first, he was a conquistador, and he slaughtered indigenous people through Haiti. And then he was like, "Oh, I actually kind of like the indigenous people of Haiti. So we should stop using them as slaves." And he went back to, I think it was either France or Spain. He was Spanish. France took over later. France was very involved with this as well. But and he basically argued to to the Catholic Church that they needed to start sending slaves from Africa to Haiti because, in his opinion, they were better livestock. He started. he and he also happens to be credited as the first Catholic priest that was ordained in the Americas. It, I personally think the fact that the Catholic Church won't just talk about it because it's historical fact, that we don't learn about this, or that it's being obscured purposefully,
Mm.
is occultism.
Yeah,
Sorry. Like, people don't like it when I start talking about the truth, but as it turns out, the truth doesn't care about your feelings. It
what I
just is.
oh,
It just
I can think about different things than the Catholic Church right now, and the latest Pope who got killed by Vance.
Yeah, did he just like cough in his hand and like give him Ebola, or like
He
what
seemed to be a
happened?
nice guy. He was a bit of a socialist in a way that was really charming, and he was very decent on many
Yeah,
issues and
he was very
had a voice he
live
used
and
to.
let live. He was like, we might not agree, but we're not, we
So
don't want to harm you.
there comes an interesting um, dialectic of sorts comes up where the poles seem to be shifting constantly, and we move between shift between mythology and enlightenment. This is where I push the other book, Dialectic of Enlightenment by Adorno and Horkheimer, where they essentially delve into this whole sphere of modern, postmodern problems where science works under capital, and you either get funding for your nice little science project or you don't. And on the other hand, you have people with Francis, as we just talked about, from the church who actually get to come back with a certain mythology that speaks to people, while the others kind of lost them with their talk about jobs and jobs and forget to talk about genocide and red lines and yellow lines and how all of that is made up bullshit, and they're still holding back. And we are watching still a slow train genocide unfolding with people being just not offered shelter. And there we go, that's post-human disaster, and it's a fucking death cult.
Yeah,
When
it's painful to watch all the suffering that is happening in the world. And I guess I won't harp forever. I may harp forever on the Catholic Church. And now that we're talking about suffering, I was thinking about Mother Teresa.
fair
But
enough, fair enough.
um,
We
but
talked
they
about
could, like,
the other
they could
church, the
the
more powerful evangelicals.
the evangelicals, yeah,
Yeah, and Epstein and how
the white
that
Christian
all
nationalists are
relates
having their day.
to power, and how that is actually by now a bigger problem than the Catholic Church. You know, they might also be involved with the propaganda that's misleading people. Yeah, again, I gotta mention a good show, The Family, Netflix documentary. It's also a book. Forgot the author, of course, always. I'm happy I can remember The Family. It's a good show on evangelicals, the power dynamic, how all that works out in Washington, D.C., the connection between religion and power and politics, so that kind of stuff that's supposed to not really get mixed up, which also could be explained all the weird little neo-Nazi Congress people popping up out of nowhere, just getting astroturfed, just parachuted into places of power Where do they come from? Huh?
Well, and I would bring up the show Shiny Happy People, which is about the Institute of Basic Life Principles, which is run by this guy named Bill Gothard. And and that is actually one of their leading projects. They are a fundamentalist. I think they're considered non-denominational Christian, but they have Generation Joshua, which is basically this big program to send teenagers to Washington, D.C. for them to sit in on governmental proceedings so they can familiarize themselves with how those proceedings work, specifically so that they can manipulate legislation to adhere to their sect's beliefs, which are very anti-abortion and anti gender affirmation, and same-sex marriage is another topic that they like to focus on. Um, and basically all the hot button issues that you could press that people seem to have um, emotional reactions to, that are often tied to that are mixed up with their religious beliefs.
Mm.
Because, I mean, when you start thinking about those specific issues, when you think about same-sex marriage and or anti-abortion, I know that these are different issues, but I think that they have a similarity in the fact that people who oppose them almost unanimously oppose them on the basis of their religious beliefs. It's basically God said it was bad,
Right.
and they don't. I'm confused on how they don't develop how they're comfortable not developing their own conceptions of.
Oh, mythology has a lot of power, and that's what you mentioned first.
I can understand
The,
convincing
Cath-
children to believe this, but like,
the
how do you?
Catholic Church, you already mentioned them. This is, we have an old tradition. It's a lot of power. It's also coming back when you think about esoterics, especially right wing esoterics. Uh, those are all trending topics in some circles because, yeah, well, we're in this postmodern disaster, right? I mean, if capitalism was so fucking bright and everything was so shiny and super, then why would we need terrorism to just still keep it going? Like actual terror, people dying, Hampton, whatever. They bombed a fucking city. Just that's decades ago, man. Just Black Panthers, yeah, yeah. Okay then.
They have to keep the fight alive.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah, we can see those pictures. So, what I'm saying with this is the usual shit.
well, you bring up right wing esoterics, and that's a good tie to our ideas about Epstein. And in previous tonight, you were asking if we thought Epstein had a cult,
Mm,
um, or is that a cult? Is and I guess in modern usage, the way that people connote, kind of conflate occultism with cultists. It sort of would appear that way, but I think he's in the occult. I think he built his entire world around occultism. and keeping secrets and obscuring the truth. And there's a lot. I don't know. I don't like, what is humans desire? Like, why are we so prone to like source a some kind of superiority, or like there's some kind of allure to knowing secrets that other people don't know? Like the entire um
Oh, well,
that
that's
letter we were talking about, the birthday letter from Trump to Epstein, with the body and the little dialogue back and forth about there must be more to life. Donald, I know what it is, but I won't tell you. Jeffrey, I won't tell you either, although I know what it is. Donald, we're enigmas. May may we always have good days of secrets. May every day be a wonderful new secret. And it's like that whole power trip of um of hiding something. Like, why does that enhance the value? Like, what psychologically is it about people that it's, I guess it's sort of the same idea as um if you have something, you have like some candy in a dish out, and somebody comes by and they're like, oh, I'm going to steal some of your candy. It's like, you're not stealing it, it's free. But there's like something risky about it's like worth more if you get to think that you stole it, or like that whole concept of doing something bad, adding to the value. um I don't know. I guess that's what occultism is, and I think that's what Epstein et al. Was doing, was writing on getting off, on hiding, and having secrets.
so to break a lance for occultism, things, but using this word as occultation, meaning put a veil to distract from the truth, to hide stuff, I would certainly agree and say, yeah, it's certainly not a cult in that sense. It's more of a sect of rich people who have a problem with sex, power, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. And there's certainly a certain allure of secret societies to be part of a secret club, even to have an invitation must be a fucking grand time for some people. I kind of get that, kind of also don't, but it's also historically, in a way, we already allude to that as well with the Catholic Church. There was the Inquisition, there was actual violence and power standing behind systems of control and domination, and any secret club would have felt the whip. So, yeah, that also turned around in a way. Now it's different clubs, different sects holding on to power. That's how I would look at it. So, in a way, I see this whole drama with Epstein and what the drawings of a secret artist. I would still have to set free from his daily business to live a life of art and dollar. Call me. Uh, there's something else still out there, actual meaning in life, all
My
that kind
dad
of stuff
doesn't
that
draw
you
pictures.
don't get in secret clubs where you get access only with money and power. That's a different kind of of thing going there.
Well, I
So
guess if
that's
you have all the money and you have all the power, then like all you have to turn to is like these secrets, because whatever you can get with the money and the power, you can already get, and so the next thrill from that has got to be just like obscuring it.
right.
I guess capitalism has got to be what kind of propels occultism to the degree that it is, because there's you know a value in knowing how to do something that somebody else doesn't know how to do, because potentially that's what you can capitalize on,
Mhm.
is your own speciality.
See, that's the other part. I forgot to mention at the start this time on the second round. The definition of Master Eckhart, who also incidentally got killed by the Catholic Church for being heretic and preaching heresy, with also saying that there's work and there's activity. So he had this idea of culture you already laid down. He had that in mind as well. And when you think about
Yeah, and
that,
activity would be like, I
yeah,
guess I wonder if that was his idea of what leisure would be. Like that is your cultist, that
that's
is
also
you
your
developing
freedom, the part you can
yeah.
capitalize on, something people would actually be interested on because it usually is another quality than work, which just to have work just has to, it doesn't have to be perfect or just have has to work.
Yeah, I think when our societies were less based so starkly on monetary gain, when it was more of a barter system, I think that there was more artistry, and there was a deeper development of cultus, um, instead of work. Um, like you'd have an artist in residence. Like you could more easily
Mhm.
sustain your livelihood on an artisan craft instead of a capitalistic job,
Yeah.
an
And
activity instead of a labor.
right, culture industry will have you make a lot of work. Well, sooner or later they're gonna get you.
I think there was I don't know at what point. I think that may have been like one of the places where I started to deprogram a little sooner, um, than other places that are taking me more time to develop. But just like the idea that I like there was value for me to start developing activities and skills even when I wasn't being paid for them. That might sound, you know, clearly everybody talks about having hobbies and what a positive thing that can be for your psychology. Yes, everybody should have hobbies, but you're punished, or it's you're definitely treated like you are um, stupid if you engage in activities that a capitalist society would say that you could make money doing, like writing, or creating art, or having a conversation on a podcast. Like if you spend your time doing that, but you're not making money, um, people think you're crazy. They're like, why are you doing all that work for free, um, because that that activity has been stifled almost out of existence.
That's why we're starting a cult. We gotta cultivate those thoughts, habits of the mind, you know, find more people who think like this. Getting bigger doesn't just mean as a single person. It's usually communities growing bigger, you know.
Yeah, I like to use my activities. I've used my writing skills. I don't like, I don't know. I predominantly do just kind of side projects that feel intrinsically important to me, like spending a couple of years just dogging the circuit courts about how my the judges in my community should just be able to break the law if they want to.
Well, you're a cult leader now. You can do it. You're part of the cult where we don't need leaders. Everyone is a cult leader. It's a different one. We are
I
here
think that every
to cult all to cool all other cults. Cult.
well, that's what I think is really important, is that everybody recognizes that they pretty like I don't have any special knowledge. I'm not trying to hide any secrets. Like, I'm not trying to purport that like I'm way up here and other people don't have the same volition that I have. Like, I want everyone to realize their own potential. That is what I would foresee is going to benefit communities the best, is
Voila.
if everyone wakes wakes the fuck up. Wake up! Shake. You can do it. Um, I mean, the more people you can help deprogram from that strict capitalistic mindset into seeing that I think it's just been I think people have just kind of given up. I think it's a hopelessness of that things could ever be better. Um, but I don't know. I think they could be like, I think it would be pretty easy for them to be, and I'm not necessarily sure why they're not already. Other than getting people
Define
to all.
easy. Depends where you are. I can think of a lot of people who would scoff at that statement, you know. That's still on the material conditions. So
Which statement?
it's also about reaching the people who can actually pull some triggers so we can actually have the luxury to have those thoughts, you know. I'm uh, lucky enough to be in that position to not just have to think about money and making my family survive and whatever. To be frank, I don't have to.
Yeah, if you yeah, they do where I see it the worst probably is locally. We have a lot of factory workers. They're like chemical and mineral refinement factories here along the Mississippi River in rural America, and they will purposefully put people on swing shifts where they work. I don't know exactly what the schedule is, but let's say they work 4 days mornings, and then they're off 3 days, and then they'll work 4 days overnights, and then be off 3 days, and then work 3 days later in the day, afternoon to early evening or whatever. But they just like rotate through different
Mm.
points in the day, and like I don't know like, other than to just purposefully psychologically disable someone from creating a healthy um, ability to I guess, it would be one thing if you always worked overnights, then you could shift your lifestyle and everybody in your family schedule to be based around that. But when you keep shifting it, it destabilizes anybody's ability to have a schedule or a routine or any sense of normalcy, and it keeps them just like in this
Constant
horrible,
state of
yeah,
survivor
right,
modus.
yeah. And if
That's
you are in survival mode, then yeah, your ability to access your higher cognitive functioning and be concerned about if you're being cultural enough is
yep.
just like
You certainly might be, but you have other problems, huh?
right.
And that's
And then
why
you're
we
sad
have
about it
to eat the
too.
rich and internationalize Epstein Island. I mean, this could be ours. Um, so we need the crews, the ships. I think we got the orcas on our side, that
Well,
mission.
if we could
But there are
have
also other things. Oh man.
we should have the resources of the Epsteins of the world, but like
Mm,
as a legitimate culture and not as part of the occult. Like, let's leave out the exploiting people and then hiding it
that's
part
right.
of the equation.
We're here to peel back the layers. We are the onionizers, and we need the onion drive for our federation, which is why we need all that money and the funds from all those rich farts who also need meaning in their lives. So I don't know. There's a deal. I hear things are becoming more transactional. That's a transaction I have to offer. There you go. Hit like and subscribe. There won't be a Zoom call this time because I fucked up. Maybe next week. Maybe I won't fuck up. That knows. Help us starting this call.
Say la vie. Wait, no wait. Que sera sera. That's the one.
Be your own cult leader. Bye, people.